Hola chicos y chicas y bienvenidos a nuestra clase de español. Hoy vamos a aprender sobre la hora. Today we're going to learn about time. Las metas de la semana, o en inglés, the goals of the week, are for you to be able to say, I can ask what time it is, and I can tell the time. ¿Qué hora es? ¿Qué hora es significa what time is it in inglés? I'm going to say this question, and then afterwards I'm going to pause, and that's going to be your opportunity to repeat that aloud at home so you can practice the pronunciation. We're going to start word by word, and then all together as a sentence. ¿Listos? Ready? ¿Qué hora es? ¿Qué hora es? ¿Qué hora es? Muy bien. Now, when we're answering this question by telling the time, in Spanish, it's split with sentence structure between the 1 o'clock hour and then all the other hours. So 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, all the way to 12 o'clock. They do this because the 1 o'clock hour in Spanish is considered singular. There's just one o'clock. All other hours are considered plural. That means more than one. Because of this, the sentence structure is a little bit different. So let's talk first about how we would say it's 1 o'clock. To say it's 1 o'clock in Spanish, you would say es la una. Es la una. It's 1. For all other hours, you're going to use son las. For example, it's 4. Son las 4. If you wanted to say it's 2. Son las 2. It's 3. Son las 3. Same structure from 2 all the way to 12. The 1 o'clock hour, just remember, 1 o'clock is super special. It's going to be singular and have es la una. Let's see how this would look with some practice. ¿Qué hora es? 1 o'clock hour, to say it's 1, remember it's super special. How do you think you would say it? Es la una. All other hours are plural. So instead of es la, you're going to use son las. Let's see here. I'm going to ask you in Spanish, what time is it? At home, I want you to say the time aloud. Then I'll show what the answer is so you can check your work. ¿Listos? Ready? ¿Qué hora es? Son las 2. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 3. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 4. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 5. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 6. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 7. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 8. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 9. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 10. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 11. ¿Y qué hora es? Son las 12. Muy bien. Again, notice that all of the hours start with the same structure of son las, except for the 1 o'clock hour. Es la una. Muy bien. Now that we know how to say the hour, we're going to learn how to say the minutes. Since last week we covered our numbers 1 through 100, this should be pretty straightforward since you know those numbers. It's just a matter of putting it into the sentence structure. So remember from our last slide, if you wanted to say it's 11 o'clock, you would say son las 11. Now, to add on the minutes, all you have to do is add this word y and then the number of minutes that are being shown. In this case, 22, o en español, 22. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 11:22. Son las 11:22. Let's practice. ¿Qué hora es? How do you think you would tell this time? Remember, the 1 o'clock hour is special. Es la 1:20. Es la 1:20. It's 1:20. ¿Qué hora es? Since it's not the 1 o'clock hour, you are going to use the structure son las. Son las 7:18. Son las 7:18. It's 7:18. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 12:30. Son las 12:30. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 3:08. Son las 3:08. Muy bien. Now, go ahead and pause the video and think how you would say the following times. When you've gone through them, press play and check your work. I'm also going to be pausing in between each one if you want to do it as we go along. ¿Listos? Ready? Bueno. ¿Qué hora es? What time is it? Son las 7:25. ¿Qué hora es? Es la 1:03. Remember, that 1 o'clock hour uses the es la instead of the son las. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 9:17. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 12:08. ¿Qué hora es? Es la 1:10. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 11:29. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 8:11. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 3:13. Muy bien. One last thing before we go. Now, when you're talking about the half hour, so something like 6:30, there's two different ways to express this time in both English and Spanish, although one of the forms is a little bit more popular in Spanish than it is in English. If you wanted to say this time, you could say son las 6:30. That would mean it's 6:30. Another phrase that you could say in English would be it's 6:30. It's a half an hour past 6 o'clock. In Spanish, that phrase is super common, even though it might not be as common in English. So we're going to learn how to say that. To say it's 6:30, it's the same structure, except instead of saying 30 for 30, you use media for half. So this time could be either son las 6:30 or son las 6:30. Let's practice that. What are the two ways that you could say this time? Son las 5:30 or son las 5:30. How about here? What are the two ways that you could tell this time? Remember, it's the 1 o'clock hour. Es la 1:30 or es la 1:30. How about here? Son las 8:30 or son las 8:30. And last one, how about here? What are the two ways to say this time? Son las 4:30 or son las 4:30. Muy bien. Ahora es tu turno. Your turn. Now that we have learned the basics of how to tell time in Spanish, it's your turn to show what you know. With this assignment, make sure to look at what ¿Qué hora es? The assignment instructions. Answer these questions. There's 8 in total, but notice at the last one, you're going to have 2 different answers. So answer these questions on a Google Doc, and you can use these notes as a resource. So everything that I've just covered in our video, I also put down as notes, which you can see attached to the Google lesson. Remember, you also have the notes from the last week's lesson about numbers, so use these to help double check your spelling of the numbers that you're using. Don't forget, in your Google Doc, please make sure that you put the title, and where it says por, please make sure that you put your name. That way I know who did the work and how to grade it, who to grade it for. Also, the way that you can turn in or submit this to me is by either sharing it with my email or with your teacher's email, or you can turn it into the Google Classroom if you know how to do that. Either way works. Muy bien, chicos. Es todo. Nos vemos. Adiós.